Imagine waking up one morning in a country known for calm, clean streets and strong welfare systems, but realizing that your neighborhood, your home, and even your identity are suddenly being treated as a problem. That is a reality for many in Denmark today, as the government rolls out hardline policies targeting immigrants from Muslim-majority, non-Western countries. This isn't just political maneuvering. Some call it a war. But what is really driving these moves? And what does it mean for the people caught in the crosshairs? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear is about much more than housing or immigration. It's a story about belonging, power, and the future of society. Denmark has long been admired for its generous social safety net and stable governance, but beneath that image lies tension. Over recent years, political leaders have grown increasingly vocal about what they call parallel societies, neighborhoods where a large share of residents come from non-Western countries, many of them Muslim, and where social problems like low income, unemployment, and crime are often highlighted. These areas, once labeled ghettos, are now officially called vulnerable residential areas or parallel society zones. The government's plan is to fundamentally transform these neighborhoods through demolition, relocation, and mixed housing policies. Part of what's fueling this crackdown is fear. Fear that these areas don't integrate into broader Danish culture, and fear that they pose a threat to the country's social cohesion. Some politicians worry that as the number of immigrants from certain countries grows, the welfare state's resources will be stretched too thin. Others frame it as a needed effort to preserve Danish values, especially when they tie non-Western origin directly to cultural and religious concerns. But is this fear justified, or is it being used to justify policies that target Muslims and others unfairly? One of the most controversial parts of Denmark's strategy is its housing policy. Under these rules, if a vulnerable residential area meets certain criteria, like having more than 50% of its residents from non-Western countries, then the government can force changes. That could mean tearing down public housing or converting it for private use. For many long-time residents, this isn't just about bricks and mortar. It's about being uprooted from their lifelong homes. Families who have lived for decades in certain neighborhoods are being asked to move, despite being deeply rooted in Danish society. A key problem critics raise is how non-Western is defined. In official documents, the government draws a dividing line. Western countries include places like the United States, Australia, and many European nations, but non-Western includes a broad mix of countries, many with large Muslim populations. That categorization does more than track nationality. It maps ethnicity in a way that disproportionately affects Muslim communities. This has sparked strong backlash, with civil rights advocates calling the entire approach deeply discriminatory. In fact, experts reviewing the policy have concluded that Denmark's parallel society housing law constitutes direct discrimination based on ethnic origin. This is a serious claim. It suggests that the legal basis for evicting people or demolishing their homes could violate international anti-discrimination rules. Several tenants who were evicted are now challenging the government in court, but the policies don't stop at housing. There are also plans to tighten work permit rules for people from certain Muslim-majority nations. The government has proposed raising the bar for work visas from countries in the Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, and Turkey. Their argument is that while foreign workers fill labor gaps, they also need to be properly integrated. Some observers argue that the crackdown is not just pragmatic, that it reflects a deeper ideological commitment. Ideas suggesting that Muslim immigrants could gradually replace native populations have been echoed in the rhetoric of some political voices. While not all mainstream politicians adopt this extreme framing, its influence can't be ignored. It colors the debate in a way that makes these policies about more than economics or welfare, about identity and survival. Human rights organizations are sounding the alarm. They have condemned Denmark's forced evictions and the use of non-Western as a policy marker, calling on the government to develop a national plan to combat discrimination. Critics say that using ethnic and religious origin as a basis for public policy risks stigmatization and exclusion rather than genuine integration. Residents affected by these policies feel the weight of the change personally. The demolition of their homes, the forced moves, and the constant threat of eviction are not just policy abstractions. They are mountains of emotional loss. People speak about losing memories, community, and stability in one sudden sweep. For families born and raised in Denmark, this feels like punishment for who they are, not for what they've done. At its core, this is a battle over belonging. Supporters of these policies argue they are defending the welfare state and Danish cohesion. They say by integrating or dispersing immigrant communities, they are helping society become more equal, more stable, and more Danish. But opponents argue that the policies are not about integration at all. They are about control. Control over who gets to stay, where they live, how they work, and what their future looks like in a country that once welcomed them. We also have to ask, what happens next? Legal challenges may force major revisions of the policies. Civil society groups and international organizations are pushing back hard. Politically, these policies could continue to fuel debates across Europe. Some nations may copy Denmark's model. Others may use it as a cautionary tale. The implications reach far beyond Denmark. If this kind of policy becomes normalized in one of Europe's most stable welfare states, it could encourage more countries to adopt similar approaches. That could change how Europe handles immigration, integration, and diversity for decades to come. On the other hand, if legal challenges succeed, it could set powerful limits on how far governments can go in re-engineering communities, especially when race, ethnicity, or religion is involved. In the end, it's not just about immigration. It's about whether society sees its citizens and its neighborhoods as belongings to be governed or people to live with. For Denmark, the choices it's making now could redefine what it means to be Danish and how Muslim immigrants fit into that identity. If you found this analysis helpful, please like this video and share with others who care about immigration, social justice, and human rights. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Denmark's approach is fair, or is it going too far? Thank you for staying until the end, and let's keep this conversation going.